I'll start off with the introduction. So I'm Perry Zhang. I'm the founder and CEO of Cashflow Portal. My background is in engineering and syndications. I was a software engineer at Amazon, Twitter, and Lyft. Joined Lyft when it was about 300 people, left when it was about 3,000. That's how I kind of make my first money. My very first deal that I syndicated was back in 2019. And since then, I have syndicated more than 1,000+ units, 4 deals. And my real estate business partner and I have underwritten more than 435 deals, mostly in Texas. And so this company is the combination of my syndication background and my engineering background. A little bit about the company. We want to be a all-in-one solution for commercial real estate. So that means we want to be the technology partner if you are in commercial real estate. We started off with the investor portal, and that is our bread and butter. And that's actually like more than 99.5% of our revenue. And we have a CRM, which is we built from scratch. We're not building on top of another CRM. And then we are talking about underwriting today, which is a really good foray into multifamily. A lot of people actually start multifamily with the underwriting, and then once they have a deal, they move into investor portal. So underwriting is actually at the top of the funnel. On underwriting, just a little bit on underwriting. We've been working on it for 2 years. I am the product manager on it. So I know all the skeletons in the closet. I know all the stuff going on with underwriting. I'm very proud that on underwriting, we have literally some of the best engineers that I know. Like one of them represented their country in International Math Olympia. One person like got a perfect score on the math competition for the USA. And so some of the most brilliant engineers I know are working on underwriting. So I'm really excited to present this to you. So without further ado, let's talk about some of the problem statements with underwriting. So for those of you watching, and maybe the first question is, what is underwriting tool for? Is it for advanced GPs, or is it for emerging GPs, or is it for intermediate GPs? And the answer is it should be for all of them. If you are just starting out, this is perfect for you. If you have underwritten a few deals, you actually get to appreciate it more. And if you are like an experienced broker that needs to underwrite every single day, this is actually perfect for you. During this presentation, I will skip over some of the terms maybe on commercial real estate and just assume kind of you know them. For example, sensitivity analysis, reversion cap rate, and so on. So this is not a webinar to teach you how to underwrite, more of a webinar given that you know a little bit about underwriting, how this tool will help you. So let's first talk about some of the common problem statements I have seen with underwriting. Maybe you can put in the chat, maybe you can kind of just internally raise your hand. How many of you are GPs that want to underwrite at least one deal a month? Maybe you can put in the chat, are you underwriting more than a deal a month? And then maybe mentally make a note, how many of you are underwriting more than a deal a week? Lots of people coming in. And how many of you have a full-time job such that underwriting is not your full-time job? Like you don't spend all your day just underwriting. How many of you are underwriting basically on the weekends and on the at night and so on? Okay, I assume that's like basically a lot of you, right? 80%, 90% of you, and that is the essence of the problem. Underwriting is like working out, which I wrote in my email. If you need to spend 2 hours working out on the weekends and in the evenings, you're just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. That's because that's too much work to just make a decision on a deal that you receive from the broker. You need to make a decision quickly and move on, whether you're going to pursue that deal or not pursue that deal. So the first problem statement is, if it takes about 2 hours to make a decision quickly, you're just not going to do it. And our goal is to reduce that 2 hours down to, say, 10 minutes or even 5 minutes so that you can do something else. The second part is about saving time. So most of the underwriting time is actually spending on crunching the data, the rent roll and the T12, parsing each line item, making a pivot table of the rent roll. And that takes about 45 minutes to just do that. That's not productive work. That's not the work that you could be researching, talking to brokers, talking to your business partner. That's just work that before the adage is that builds your muscle. No, no, no. That's just busy work that doesn't really contribute to your success. And so we want to reduce that time down to basically less than a minute. The third part, the more I got into underwriting, actually is accuracy. So most spreadsheets, it turned out that now that I'm really into this, is actually wrong. To give some example, a lot of the spreadsheets calculate your sale price based on the 6-year NOI as opposed to the 5th-year NOI. That's actually not correct, according to a lot of institutional spreadsheets. Second, the loan amortization is actually not correct in most spreadsheets. That they don't take amortization into account. They just calculate the interest only. They take the loan balance minus the interest only, and that's your monthly yearly loan. That's actually slightly off. And then there are other things that are incorrect. For example, the T12 gross income, should that come from the unit mix or should that come from the T12 financial statement? Nobody knows. And so every spreadsheet does it slightly different. One of the GPs actually told me that sometimes the worst thing that can happen is GP overwrites one of the cells in the spreadsheet, and whether consciously or subconsciously, and throwing the entire sheet off. There's nothing preventing you from changing the formulas. And so imagine an LP gets a spreadsheet like that, and there's like, oh, this looks great, without little knowing that, yeah, some of the numbers actually got changed. So the more I got into underwriting, the more I feel accuracy is actually the thing that is not standardized. Okay, so that's accuracy. Speed. Whenever you underwrite, you need to get a couple pro formas, couple term sheets, a couple business plans, because one is with high renovation, one with a small renovation, a few distribution waterfalls. Sometimes you want to do a straight split. Sometimes you want to do a waterfall with the pref equity. Sometimes you have fund of funds people coming in. And every time when you do that, you end up doing create a different spreadsheet with all the assumptions. Then as you are getting closer to closing, it takes about 3 months to close. So every month you get a new updated rent roll. And so you have to do that all over again. So you end up with like 2 times 2 times 3 times 2 times 2, like 32 different scenarios, end up creating 30 plus different spreadsheets. I never did it. I only create like at most 5 or 10. But that was enough for me to realize that, hey, the speed in which I can change different scenarios is really important to me. I just want to see what does it look like if I change it into a pref equity waterfall or a straight split, or if I change my split really quickly. And so the ability to plan your scenarios is a huge problem statement in today's spreadsheet. Okay. And then the last one is simplicity, right? Most of the time, your spreadsheets is just all over the place with multiple assumptions. People reading it don't really know. They're like, where should I start? I think that's kind of the problem with every system. And once you get familiar with that spreadsheet, it becomes like someone you know very well. So there's that. Okay. So these are the problem statements. If these problem statements resonate with you, you can comment on the chat, and maybe there are other things that you find that's cumbersome about your spreadsheet. So the result is that if you feel like you couldn't make a decision quickly, if it takes about 45 minutes to get to my baseline level, and that it's not exactly accurate, I don't know how to do scenario planning, it's hard to get the rank comps, it's not exactly flexible enough unless I'm a spreadsheet wizard that can do some macros. I found it hard to use. If these statements are true, then more likely than not, you let the deals sit in your inbox and never underwrite them. And as a result, you end up like basically not looking at the deals. One of the attendees said, Victoria said, sensitivity analysis is really important. 100%. When I was doing my own deal, the way I create the sensitivity analysis is I change the cap rate. I jot down what's my total return, and then I change it again, jot down what's my total return, and then I took a screenshot of that thing. That took like 30 minutes. Then my rent roll changes. I do the same thing again because I need to update my webinar. Been there, done that. And so that's the problem that I want to solve. Okay? So these are the problem statements. Let me go into let me go into the actual software on how we tackle these problems. And by the way, if you have questions, feel free to just ask in the chat. Some of us can help, or I can just respond to that as I go. All right. So how do we solve these problems? So here is what underwriting looks like on Cashflow Portal, and you can register by creating a free account and just click on underwriting on the left-hand side, and you will see this. We are not gated this from anyone. The first thing you will notice, so this is a demo of our software and how it addresses these problem statements. First thing you notice is we have different pipelines. So you can put them as unassigned, prospective deal, preliminary, in-depth, internal return, internal review, and so on. So you can put them into a pipeline. We are very happy to report that some of our customers actually went all the way from unassigned to LOI accepted. And now they are actually converting this into a Cashflow Portal deal to raise money. And in the future, that will just be a one click of a button to convert this underwriting into a Cashflow Portal deal. Okay. The second thing you will notice is that we do have these expense templates. These expense templates are highly customizable. You can add arbitrarily new items, and you can put whatever numbers you want. The way to use them is that I usually put the area with the class. So I have a Dallas, Texas Class B expense template. I may have Houston, Texas Class B template, and so on and so forth. So you can create arbitrary many expense templates for your area. Okay? All right, so let's try to underwrite one deal with these two. So the first thing I will do, let's underwrite this thing called North Haven Terrace. It's a $32 million purchase price. And I have my expense template set to Dallas, Texas Class B. Okay? It's built in 1970. Okay? And I'm going to put in the address. Okay? I'm going to put in this address. You will see why that come in handy in a second. I'm going to upload like 4 images, and I am off to a good start. So click into it. It's an empty, canvas for you to populate. The first thing I will do is populate my rent roll and my T12. Okay? Why is that? Because I need my unit mix, I need my income, and I need my expenses. You can click on generate from rent roll. Okay? We are going to use the AI parsing. I'm going to download this sample rent roll. You can use your arbitrary rent roll. In fact, if you want to make this a higher stakes here, you can, while I'm doing this demo, if you want to put us to the test, you can forward your rent roll and T12 to my email address. And if we have time, we will do it on your rent roll and T12. It works. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. Okay, and just to show you what that spreadsheet looks like, this is the spreadsheet that I just downloaded. Let me just here. This is what my rent roll looks like. So this is my sample rent roll. Very, very realistic rent roll from Restman. I just downloaded from Restman. Okay, cool. Click on upload. And then this takes about, if it's PDF, we parse PDFs too. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes. If it's a spreadsheet, it processes in less than 10 seconds. Okay. And voila, we basically did a pivot table on your rent roll, and we calculate all the 208 units. It is a 208 unit apartment with 200 units of them are occupied. Okay, cool. You don't have to map it out. You just take whatever your broker send it to us, send it to you, and just upload it. It's just magic. To prove that the numbers work, you can click into any one of those units. We actually have the metadata of all these units, move-in date, move-out date, and so on. You can change it, regenerate it if you want to. All right, cool. You can look at some insights. So the first thing I usually look at all my unit types, along with the rent, along with the number of units associated with each unit type. I can take a look at some of the leases. And so that gives me an idea of if any of one of the months has a really spike in people moving out. And that is kind of a yellow flag, right? So right now, I basically have all my units and my unit mix pre-populated. The second step is to upload my T12. So I'm going to do upload T12, and then I'm going to click on upload T12. I'm going to download this T12, drag and drop over here, upload it. Okay. The magic happens in that the AI will automatically parse every line item of your T12. And they also show you how we parse it. For example, we parse line 10 as rental income because that's gross potential rent. Then we do not parse rent 12 because if we were to parse rent 12, then it will be double counting. This is just the subtotal of the above lines. I hope that makes sense, right? This deductions, right now we parse it as rental income. You as a user can override it because if you want to be very pedantic, this is technically loss to lease. This is technically bad debt. This is technically vacancy loss. And then these are all just concessions. If you have multiple things that you need to override, you drag and drop this just like a spreadsheet override. So all these rows now are just rent concessions. Okay, so I did that. Let's take a look at the other income. All of this is parsed correctly. All of this admin cost is general admin. That's parsed correctly. Professional fees, fine. Marketing, fine. Payroll, all parsed correctly. Contract service, repairs and maintenance, contract services. Within utilities, you see electricity mapped correctly, trash mapped correctly, water mapped correctly. Okay? Insurance correctly. Property tax correct. Insurance also correct. Property management also correct. The AI is smart enough to not map anything after the debt service. It's also smart enough to not map anything after the non-operating expenses. Your spreadsheet could be all over the place. It could be in a PDF format and put it to the test and magic just happens. It just works. Okay. If it doesn't work, then you click a button and we will actually manually pass for you. But our success rate right now is near 95%. Okay. All right. Click on generate. So right now I'm ready to create my income and my expenses. Okay. And then there's the expense template. Click on OK. And so at the top, it will say models generated. Okay. So just take a look. IRR is 18%. Total investor return is 11%. Pretty good. It seems that I should proceed with this deal. Here's a trick. We want this to feel like a spreadsheet. So if you do command /, I can go to my unit mix quickly. I can go to my T12 quickly, just like a spotlight. I can go to my expense quickly. I can go to my income quickly. I can go to my sensitivity analysis really quickly. So everything is at your fingertips. You don't have to click around if you don't want to, okay? So now that I parse it, okay, the first thing I want to check is I go to unit mix, okay? It's because that's the first thing I want to check. By the way, if you have questions, just put it here. Okay, right. So the first thing is I want to examine my unit mix. It is 208 units. It is correct. This is my total square footage. I do see a 12% rental increase. Okay, and the rent here is just taking the median rent, and the pro forma rent is taking the highest rent of that unit type from your unit mix, from your rent roll. If you disagree with the pro forma rent, just change it, right? This is the first pass. There are a few ways to change it. Let's just go through a realistic example. One way to do it is I like to go to my rent roll, and then we give you a lot of statistics. We give it the minimum, maximum, average, 25, median, and 75 percentile. You copy this market rent. Let's say the market rent is actually what you want. I go back to my unit mix. I paste it across, right? If I paste, the whole column changes because I can copy a whole column and paste a whole column. And so that is a 13% increase. I don't want that. I just reset it. You know what? I actually never done this before, but if I go back to rent roll, and then I want to do just literally the 75 percentile and just want to make sure that that actually works for my deal. So I paste the 75 percentile. That's only a 3% increase in my rent. Save it, right? That's only a 9%, IRR. So yes, a 70%. So I can stress it a little bit already. Okay, let me go back to the rent roll again. And then let me do the maximum, which is the more realistic version. Okay, unit mix, and I'm gonna paste it. So that's one thing you can do. Okay, now you do this, and then the IRR is back to 18%. Everything, by the way, leads to the modeling. This is the modeling a lot of you are familiar. So like organic rent increase, forced appreciation rent increase, total rent increase. This is my gross potential rent. This is the economic vacancy. This is my first year rental income, a second year rental income increase, etc. Let's just pay attention to the income part. Anything that is blue is clickable. Clicking on it tells you where it came from. So this 12% forced appreciation, if I click on it, it will take me back to this unit mix, which is the 12%. Most spreadsheets calculate this rental increase during the first year. And one of the problems I have with spreadsheets is that it's not always the first year. It's sometimes you need some development, sometimes you need to renovate something, sometimes you need to take 24 months or 36 months to execute your business plan. Aha! The way you do that is you click on this thing called advanced mode, and then all of a sudden, more things appear. There's the development period, there's the lease-up period. How can you use this? You can say, you know what? My deal, I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna do 24 months of development period. And I'm going to right click and then do fill down. So all of this now is 24 months. Okay, click on save. So I'm going to execute my business plan over the course of 24 months. And as a result, my modeling now, you can see, is no longer just a year one increase. It's year one and year two. The reason that the second year is 5.7% is that the denominator now, the basis has become larger. So it needs a smaller percentage to get to the same incremental rent increase. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Furthermore, if I click into it, I also have this thing called development period. So for example, you may have a unit that is down right now and you need about 8 months to renovate it and to bring it up. And in that 8 months, it's not collecting any rent. And so you can put 8 months here for certain units. It gets even more fancy. Sometimes you may have an Airbnb or short-term rental. You can make the rent frequency to be daily, weekly, or yearly. And maybe for that Airbnb one, you give it a specific vacancy rate. So a vacancy rate could be on a per unit type level. Okay. Let's shift gears a little bit more. If you are doing hotels, sometimes our customers will put January, February, and so on, because every month will have a slightly different vacancy compared to the baseline. Okay, so this is something really useful. So right now, to recap, I have a 12% rental increase, but I'm gonna be conservative and execute it over the course of 24 months as opposed to 12 months. Okay, my IRR still stays pretty good, about 18%. So there's that. Now you say, okay, that's good that you get me the rent, but what if I need the rent comps? Like I just want to, how do you know these rents are correct? Because that's just the first pass. Aha, glad you asked. So let's go to rent comps. So rent comps coming here. This is the magic. You gotta click on get rent comps. The reason I put in my address is that so I can get my rent comps. I'm gonna do my 2-bedroom. I'm gonna do import, wait for about 5 seconds. It's fetching all the data around it. Okay, wait for it. Aha. So this is all the rent comps in the 3-mile radius. Then I can do filter. I got my 2, I got my 1.5, and I also want to look at 1-bedrooms, I guess. Let me apply that. That's all the rent comps that satisfy these conditions. These are all the 2-bedrooms and the 1 and the 1.5 baths. I'm gonna filter by rent. What does this tell me? This tells me the maximum rent I can possibly charge. This is the universe, the set of rent comps I can go after. Unfortunately, one of the questions might be, do you have the vintage of these units? Do you have the amenities? Unfortunately, we couldn't find that data. We sync with apartments.com and Rentometer, and they don't always give us the data. So it is what it is. And CoStar is a closed-ended system. We don't have API to it. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But at least this gives you a total set of things that you can look for. It is still behooves you to Google this address and then just look at their website. But at least it gives you that the maximum rent is about $2,100, right? There's that. You can also sort it by rent per square foot. So the maximum I can charge is probably $1.79. I take this $1.79, I go to unit mix, I find my 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, and then this is the maximum I can get. 896 times 1.79. You can do mathematical equations within it as well, okay? And so that's the 1,600 is pretty much what you get. But that's actually lower than what I'm charging. And that's because this particular property is already the market leader in rent. So there's that. But the meta point still stands that you can do mathematical equations directly on the cells, and you can just do the rent comps with a click of a button. You can verify the data. Again, the point here is all of us have a full-time job. We're not underwriting full-time, and what we are optimizing for is you can make a go or no-go decision on this deal very quickly so that you can do something else. If you were to move on with this deal, you still have to spend hours poring over these rent comps and to make your thorough, investigation. We can really like help solve that problem, if that makes sense. Okay, so we spent a lot of time on unit mix, pro forma rent, and rent comps. Let me take a look at any questions here. Okay. And yeah, by the way, if you have more questions, feel free to put it in here. Cool. Yeah, the rent comps come from apartments.com and Rentometer. And then the other one is Zillow. We have not integrated with Zillow, and we want to integrate with Zillow. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we are going to be the abstraction over multiple data sources, and we're gonna do our best work in terms of like combining them. And so to show you those data. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Awesome. All right. So that's that. Let's move on to income and expenses. Okay. Let's take a look at expenses. So I like to just use my keyboard and go to expenses. You can see that the T12 is all just the total. And then the pro forma, I can actually do per unit. I can do percentage of the price, like property tax. And then I can do property management fee as a percentage of the income. So we can do all of these. So right now, the historical expense is 1.8. We are 1.8, well, not. And so we are lower. So that's why maybe the IRR is so high. So one of the things I need to pay attention to is payroll is we are 1,700. So that's cool. And I think one of the things we really miss is the electricity. Like, so let me bump the electricity to $1,000 per unit, just so that at the end, the numbers look more or less the same. Okay. For the purpose of this demo. So my IRR drops to 15% as soon as I do that, which kind of makes sense. Okay. This is another beautiful thing about this underwriting. And again, all these nuances, I've been there, done it. That's why we build it into it. Property tax increases at a different rate than insurance, which increases at a different rate than the rest of the expenses. What you can do is you can do 3% across the board. Or you can say my property tax increased 10%, my insurance increased by 8%, the rest of them is 3%. And guess what? We give you the blended rate of your expense increase. Magic. I remember using formulas to do this in a spreadsheet, and now it's just like done. And people say, well, can you do arbitrary? Yes, you can do arbitrary many expenses. Let's say, what if my payroll increases at a different rate than the rest of them and so on? You can also do that. So you can add most of them, but the default is property tax and insurance, and you can do that. Okay. Similarly, for income, you can see that my income increase is 3%, and my economic vacancy is 12%, and my other income increase is 3%. One thing I can do is I can say, my economic vacancy is only 10% as an example, okay? And then I can right click and then do fill right. So that will make all of these cells to be 10%, so there's that, okay? So I'm gonna change it back to 12%, okay, do fill right. And some people might like to do 14%, 12%, 10%, 10%. That's up to you. But that you can adjust the rent increases across the next few years. I hope that makes sense. Okay? Cool. All right. So then let's talk about a few more things. One of them is about sale. This is something we just launched like last night. So on the sale, you can do a cap rate. But if you folks are brokers or lenders and they're doing small multifamily, you can actually easily do price per square foot or price per unit. And we can also calculate that. I know most spreadsheets for multifamily can only do cap rate, but you can also just say, you know what, this unit in 5 years, I just think it's going to sell for $200 per unit. You can do that as well. Okay, so that's on the sale. Let's talk about refinance, just finance in general. So finance is a very interesting topic, and this I'm gonna teach you a couple things that is illustrate a couple points. The first point about finance is first, with every one of those assumptions, you can click on manage scenarios, and that gives you multiple scenarios. Here I have a lender one scenario. I'm going to make a copy of it to just illustrate what does a refinance will look like. So I'm gonna go to lender one. I can name this whatever you want. I can just call this refinance scenario. You can call it lender two if you want to, okay? Within each one of them, you can see that I have loan. I can do multiple loans. That way you can simulate what does it look like to have a seller financing or a supplemental loan and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's that. That's a loan. And right now, 75% LTV, 36%, 6% interest rate as an example. But I want to simulate refinance scenario. So I click on this, turn this on. I'm going to refinance in 3 years. The cap rate is about 6%. And I'm also going to do a 75%. And let's pray that in 3 years, it's going to be a 5% interest rate. Okay, so that's my refinance scenario. Okay, so that's the refinance. Now, if I do manage finances, this is my lender one. This is my refinance. Watch what happens to IRR. So right now, the refinance gives me 14% IRR. But if I change it to the other version being active, it becomes 13% IRR. Okay? So go back here. Refinance 14% IRR. And I can easily also show that by going to modeling, GPLP returns and projection. During the refinance period, in my model, I have a pref equity. So on the 3rd year, most of the money goes to the pref equity. And this class A, you see this refinance column, they get some true up on that 3rd year. But as soon as I turn that refinance off, which is right here, let me turn this off, lender one, which is without the refinance. And then now if I go to GPLP returns projection, you can see on my 3rd year, there's no longer that refinance. You cannot do that on a spreadsheet. I try it. It is impossible to build that into a spreadsheet. And that's where it gets better and better when it's on a software. Okay? The math speaks that, hey, on the 3rd year, you don't have a refinance. This is what it's showing. Okay? And the IRR drops down to 13%. Okay? So far, so good. Okay, so that's on the finance. Let's also go to sensitivity analysis. I talked in the beginning that the sensitivity analysis took me 30 minutes. That was the moment that I want to create a software, and that was the very first, pretty much toward the beginning that would create the sensitivity analysis. You can see the equity multiple drops up and down. Rent growth, this is what happens to the cash and cash when the rent growth changes. This is what happens when the rent growth and the exit cap rate changes. So this is like a 2 by 2 input with the z-axis being 2 variables. This is 2 by 2 with the z-axis being 3 variables. And then there's more stuff. So what you can do is you can just download this thing and then you put it onto your webinar deck and so on. Okay, so that's on the sensitivity analysis. I know I went over a lot of stuff, but maybe people can ask more questions. You can put it in the chat, or if you can just kind of maybe even unmute yourself and then ask. There are other things to talk about, like waterfalls. I can talk about sharing, but maybe people can ask questions first. Yeah, so one of the questions is, can I do CapEx and renovation budget? Yeah, so that's under the CapEx. You can also add a contingency. I only just did a $50,000 CapEx here for the sake of my demo, but you can absolutely do that. And then there's the question about, can this be shared with my LPs? Yes, so if you go to summary, and then if you scroll down, you can put in that LP investment. So right now it's 50,000, 100,000, but you can do like a $50,000 investment, and then everything just changes to that 50,000. Then you can export this thing. It will have your logo on it, and then you will have this kind of beautiful chart. The reason I upload images is that it will have this beautiful chart. This spreadsheet, this PDF, by the way, is not the best. We're gonna make it even better. We're gonna make it basically like we should be able to write your deck for you. And so that's coming in the next like couple months ish. But yeah, but right now we do have the data. We just have to put it into a beautiful Canva-like PDF that you can directly just send to your LPs. If you want to share this whole model with your GP or LP, you can do share. And you can do it here. And then the role could be GP, LP, lender, and broker, right? And then the type could be collaborate or separate copy. So you can do that. Okay. By the way, when A shares the underwriting with B, B is just like a co-sponsor. B does not pay. So one way is that you are A, and you share with 5 people. Those 5 people don't pay. Okay, so that's just know that that's a trick. You can share with as many people. We like it because we are spreading the software so that more and more people can use it, and we believe that this is the right way to do it. And this is like eventually people will not want to go back to a spreadsheet. Okay. All right, let's talk about the hardest thing, which is the waterfalls. So one of the questions is like, can I have complex waterfalls? And the second is, can I have all my co-sponsors? One of the problems with the spreadsheet is that you put your co-sponsors there and then you share that spreadsheet, they are gonna see it, right? And then second is if you remove that tab, then none of the numbers work because the total return depend on the split, right? So some people just make that tab invisible, which is like such a wacky workaround of the problem. So what we can do on the software level is that you can share and then not share the kind of the GP co-sponsors level. So that you can do. All right, so let's talk about waterfalls. So this is the one with the pref equity. And the way it works is I have my pref equity, LP, and GP. Okay. And the waterfall is during the non-liquidation event, which is before you sell. Pref equity gets their 6%. Then Class A gets their cash of 8%. Then there's a 70-30 split. That's before you sell. While you have a refinance event or a sale, you can have pref equity gets their money back. Pref equity earns a 14% cash and cash. That's including the 6%. That's cumulative. Then Class A gets 100% of their capital back. Then the 70-30 split until they achieve a 15% IRR. And then therefore after 50-50 split. Why can we build that? We are able to build that because the waterfall is being used for Cashflow Portal for the regular distributions, and we just copy that code over into the underwriting software, and that's why we can build that. So I'm gonna do an easier split, and then to show you what's the difference. Let's suppose I don't have a pref equity. I'm gonna make a copy. I'm gonna go in here. I'm going to call this one straight split. Gonna save it. And I'm gonna go to my waterfall, and I'm gonna remove all the references with the pref equity. Remove my references with pref equity. Done. Okay. Remove my references of pref equity here, and then remove here, and then I'm done. Okay, cool. So this is just a split without the pref equity. Actually, it's not exactly called straight split. It's without pref equity. Okay, without pref equity. Cool. Now that's that. And then coming here, and then I'm going to give 100%, and I'm gonna remove my pref equity. So there's that, and then go and save. Now, if I go to my scenarios, without pref equity, 12%. With pref equity, my LP is earning 13%. Because if the deal is good with pref equity, is basically increasing debt, increasing leverage. So the IRR should increase with the pref equity. Pref equity is supposed to increase the IRR, but it's a double-edged sword. So you can easily prove to yourself that I can switch between the two. Watch what happens to IRR. Watch what happens to IRR. So you can easily, and I can also do a straight split very easily. You might notice that seems like a lot of work. I need to do all this configuration. So we are going to make these into a template so you can have the most common pref structure. So you can just copy and paste. The other thing we really want to do, which will come probably later in the year, is we would like you to speak to the software like in English, plain English. Can you just build this waterfall for me with a 7% pref, 70-30 split until 15% IRR, and then 50-50 split, and then you should just build the waterfall for you, just like an AI agent. So that is coming. Okay. All right. So that's that. So that's on the GP-LP split. Okay. So what have we covered? We cover sharing, we cover the PDF, we cover sensitivity analysis, we cover the GP-LP, we cover the scenarios that you can swap between the two. We cover the rent comps, the closing costs, the capex, finance, expense, income, mix. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's 40 minutes into it. Let's see. Any other questions? Yeah, so Mike, I said, did I hear that you guys gonna do a pitch deck creation feature? Yes, we are 100% gonna do the pitch deck creation. And then can this be do for senior facilities, medical business? When it comes to industrial manufacturing, senior and medical, you are underwriting the business as opposed to underwriting the real estate. I will be first to admit that I don't know how to underwrite like a private equity on a business. But if it's a bunch of P&Ls, yes, I think we can parse the P&Ls and we can parse QuickBooks P&Ls. But I should don't know what are things that you need for private for like underwriting a business. So schedule a call. We can 100% chat. This is my you can schedule a call with me here to talk about how this can work for different types. For the folks that want additional support, there are two resources while I'm answering more questions. One is you can scan this and then you can schedule a call with the team. I would like you to start using it and then play with it and then schedule a call to ask questions because if it's just like a regular demo, the team is gonna go through the same thing I just went through. So the best way to learn about it is to play with it. So that's that. The second thing, which is new, I mentioned about staying until the end of the webinar, is if you go to this website or scan your QR code on this guy, this allows you to join a exclusive CFP Slack group. We have a customer Slack group that we just built out like 2 days ago. So nobody's on it yet. You guys will be the first. And this is a great way to meet fellow GPs and be able to collaborate with them either on a new deal or just have someone to look at the underwriting and so on. So that's really gonna be really good. We are building a community, and you can ask questions there. You can ask each other questions. You can send them your resume. Connect with people and so on and so forth. So that's gonna be really, really awesome, and we will do our best to monitor it. Eventually, by the way, we might make it such that it's only the customers that are in there. So there's that. So take a screenshot of it, and then the URL is bit.ly join CFP Slack. Okay, that's the link. Okay, all right. So that's the link. Okay. While people are doing that, I will go over the pricing model. I mentioned at the beginning of the call that we want to democratize multifamily and commercial real estate underwriting. And towards that end, our pricing needs to reflect that. And so we have a very good price for you. Okay. Few things going on. When you are starting out, you have a 2-week free trial. No credit card is required. Upload your rent roll at T12 in a PDF. Check us out. We may not be able to parse all of it 5% of the time, but we are improving. So there's that. After 2 weeks, you have 3 options. The first option is the beginner package, $19 per month per seat. That gives you 1 new deal a month. That's great if you're just starting out. The second one is $49 per month per seat. That's up to 5 new deals per seat, okay? And then finally, there's the $20 new deal seat a month. That's $79 per month per seat. If you like it, yeah, and please tell other brokers, Marcus Mutual, and so on, lenders, and large investment firms. Most of our money is gonna be made off this package, the enterprise version. But again, we want to democratize underwriting. And so this is $19. If you go after any kind of institutional or big brand underwriting models, it's like $12,000 a year. So like this is not even close to being like affordable. None of the features are gated. All you gated is the number of new deals that you have each month. Okay, so that's that. So check us out. The way you sign up is you go to cashflowportal.com and then you register. And then on the left-hand side, it will be underwriting. You need to create a company portal and then just click your company portal and then you're off to go. You have a 2-week free trial. After that, you can select any of the packages, which is the lowest of which is $19 per month per seat. And we have folks that told us that I had tried the institutional thing and I tried yours. Your parsing is actually better, which I agree because we spend majority of our time actually making the parsing work. So there's that. So the price point for unlimited deals, talk to us. That's mostly likely you're kind of like the brokers and lenders, but it will be in the orders of 2x of the sophisticated version. So that's the order that you're looking at. This is again per seat. Okay. Furthermore, for some of you customers, you might be on the enterprise version. Okay. You automatically get free underwriting for the sophisticated for 3 users. So that's automatically built in. So that's a argument that everyone should move to enterprise because you cannot lose. You literally cannot lose because this gives you $20 million of equity under management. And if you look at emerging, 20 million is already 743. Why wouldn't you choose the 699 that comes with the CRM and the underwriting? It's like a no-brainer. The only way you can lose with the enterprise is that your total equity drops below 10 million. Then yeah, you might save more money by doing a la carte. But if you're more than the 10, $15 million range, doing the enterprise is a no-brainer. So do that. Okay, cool. And then the last question people ask, what's the customer service look like? I'll give you my my kind of founder answer, I guess. Our customer service, people who are customers here, you can chime in. What's our customer service? It's excellent. We created a WhatsApp group for you, and we help you to the best we can. And we are very hands-on. But for underwriting, it might actually be better because a lot of the customer costs, I'm on it because I'm trying to make underwriting really work. Okay. So on Casual Portal is already good, but on underwriting, I'm personally involved. So there's that. So you actually might get even better customer service as a result. Okay. So that's that. Anything I miss, I want to go back to here, join our Slack group. Okay, so I see a bunch of people joining now. Okay, very good. Just take a screenshot of this or bit.join CFP Slack. And then if you want to schedule a separate demo, this is the QR code. So there's that. Okay. Any questions I missed that I should kind of visit? But then, do you folks think this is helpful? Do you think this is on the right track? And what other features would you like to see on underwriting? I know that was a lot of stuff coming at you, and sensitivity analysis, rank comps, reversion cap rate, all of that. Mhm. Yeah. So someone said yes, that's right. Yeah. So by the way, yeah. So this pricing, $19 or whatnot. If there's a lot of people using it, there will be a day we're gonna increase it. So I don't want to say this is forever, but if you are here and you sign up, we're gonna obviously honor it and so on. Now, this is a 1 year contract, just to be clear. So it's not like so it is a 1 year commitment. But if you don't like it, happy to return money back in like 30 days or so, whatnot. So happy to do that. Compared to the investor portal, I am personally not trying to make money on underwriting yet. I am trying to make it work so that people like it, people actually get value out of it, and then most of our money is made off the institutional private equity firms that do underwriting basically every day. Okay, so that's that. One question is, can you convert from beginner to? Yeah, you can. Absolutely, you can. Cool. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, Slack link, a Slack link. Okay, cool. So this is the Slack link. This is it. The financial modeling, financial modeling. Yes. We can chat separately, but we do have the ability to refinance multiple loans and so on and so forth. So there's that. All right. That's a lot of information. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. And if you any questions, simply email me and give it a try. And then, yeah, it's supposed to be self-serve. So play with it, sign up. Any questions, contact us. We'll create a WhatsApp group for you. Thank you, everyone.